All right. The Nun, the Nun, the Nun. Where to begin? So, I saw The Nun 2 in cinemas last night in extreme screen, which is Hoyts in Australia. They're, big screen compared to the regular screens. Oh, if anyone else has seen it, please let me know what you thought, because I'll be honest, I loved it. I loved it so much that I sat there like crying at the end of the film last night. I mean, also depending where I am in my cycle, that might be why. But the writing, the editing, oh, that's who I was gonna look up who did the editing. Because all of these things play such an important role in determining the success of a film. So most people, or not most people, I think a lot of people didn't like The Nun from 2018. I saw it in cinemas. I remember being a little disappointed with it, but I rewatched it actually last week in preparation for The Nun 2 coming out. And I gotta say, it was so good as a rewatch. It was so much better. Sometimes you have to give films a little bit of time, right? And that one for sure, I don't know how we all got it so wrong. How did we get a film like The Nun wrong? It was actually really well done. To carry on, so to not have any spoilers, I suppose, they continued with, which we know from the trailer, everybody can know that, regardless of whether you've seen the film or not. They have the main nun, Sister Irene, and Frenchie Maurice, and then they introduce a few more characters. The character development was noticeable, and you need that, right? Frenchie isn't going to be Frenchie how he was. Sister Irene was changed, especially from the experience that she went through in the first Nun, in attempting to defeat Valak. All these things help to good writing, good acting, just immerses you in it. So the budget, I think, for The Nun 2 was 36 million. Let me just look it up while I'm here with you guys. Obviously, I was researching it all yesterday, but we forget. Oh. No, that's The Nun 2. The Nun 1 had a $22 million budget, so The Nun 2, please come up this time. Let's just use Wikipedia, because we all know that's very reliable. So, allegedly a $38.5 million budget, potentially add-on for marketing, which, producer James Wan and Peter Safran, I believe, know how to do with the success, following the success of Megan, right? They really use social media. They really use pop-up stuff in California and really pushed it, got it going, got people involved and excited, and however you want to market a film, go for it. That's going to work. So far, opening weekend, they've made $88.1 million, allegedly. You could tell the budget, the the set design was so good. So good. The In terms of writing as well, they didn't pull any punches. And we would know from the trailer, if that's all you've seen so far, that you can see a lot of young girls, like a boarding school kind of situation. They don't pull any punches. It really frustrates me with horror films, or it might be cheesy or something, and they just get away. Or they just, they just escape, and they just avoid being hurt. But it's pretty obvious that the thing could have just got them. It makes it so much more real and exciting for a horror fan to see the violence, the gore, the blood, give it all to us and do it well. It's gonna immerse you in it. So they didn't hold back in terms of utilizing all the characters regardless of age and whether they're being physically hurt or not by the demons and all the things, which is, in my opinion, that's great to see. It's so refreshing. So the writer was Akela Cooper. I think that's her last name. Yes, Akela Cooper. So she's done quite a few things that I like. According to IMDb, she did a few episodes of Grimm TV series. I really like that. A few of American Horror Story. Things like that. Sorry, let me just look up Akela Cooper filmography. So she didn't write the original Nun. She had Hellfest, Malignant, Megan, obviously the Nun 2, and she's gonna write Megan 2.0. I really liked Malignant. I think some people didn't. Megan for me was a little too cheesy, too kiddie. But I suppose this is just going to show Akela Cooper's talent. She's obviously female. It was very female driven. But it was written in such a way it wasn't a bad thing. One, you're dealing with nuns. Two, one of the chapels, or do you call it a monastery for nuns too? Nunnery? Was turned into a girls' boarding school. It made sense. There's women in the film. It wasn't out of place. It wasn't woke for woke's sake. It was very real. The script had a lot of heart. There was so much heart. Hence why I'm in tears at the end of a horror film, which is why I get frustrated when people go, "I don't like horror. It's too scary. It's too scary." A good horror movie, yeah, it's gonna be scary. Want to be scary, but it'll be scary and have meaning behind it too. They don't always have to, but I'm just saying this was a masterpiece in terms of it encompassed every single emotion you could find. I was right there feeling it all. Okay, I'm just looking up the cinematographer, Tristan Nyby. So much can be achieved with different angles, different shots that you take. I haven't seen The Dark and the Wicked. I haven't seen that. Maybe I should add that to my list. High rating on Rotten Tomatoes, but we know not to trust that. That was from 2020. Horror thriller film. So, okay. The pacing of the film, it took its time. It was 110 minutes, which is long, right? 120 minutes would be 2 hours. But it never lost track of where it was going. Nothing was non-essential in my opinion. There was constant movement. It was always driving and pushing the end goal forward, the plot line forward. And what I love, there's always scary stuff happening in every scene. Pretty much. There's always scary stuff. You're not having to wait to go, oh my goodness, when am I gonna get my first jump scare? I like jump scare. I like to go and get scared because by this point I'm so desensitized to horror films that, you know, I have to go. I enjoy going and watching films alone because I watch it with too much of an analytical mind, probably, that I enjoy myself too much. Like, oh my gosh, they did a really good job with that makeup. Like, ooh. But to still be able to get the jump scares, I love that. But there was something scary happening at every point, in every scene. That's all I want. That's all I want, and a bit of heart in the script. Are you kidding me? These phenomenal actors. I really like Thaisa Farmiga. And geez, the Jonas Bloquet, very good. We know Storm Reed is good. She was in, oh my goodness, it's escaping me now. Missing, right? Yes, Missing, that came out earlier this year. It was a social media screen-based film where she's trying to find her mother. Anna Popplewell from Narnia series. And we have a few more, but yeah, Jonas Bloquet, wow. My goodness, I'm just looking at his filmography here. Oh, he was an orphan? Oh, 2017, okay. I also really liked that, just reading through his filmography there, apparently he's from Belgium, but they focus on that point. They make sure that everybody's accents make sense, right? And even if they're speaking English, you know, they have a French accent because it's a French girls' boarding school, but there's a lady who is an Irish teacher, which makes sense. It's Europe. You're gonna have English speakers going over to teach English and whatnot, and she has a daughter, also has an Irish accent. You know, there was nothing that didn't make sense. Everything made sense. They use him. He's Belgian. They always speak French, so it all makes sense. And everybody else was either speaking French or had a French accent because it was set in France this time. And the background of Storm Reed's character made sense. Her character story made sense of why she was there, and there was a theme of miracles going off of, let me say the actual character's name instead of saying Storm Reed. Deborah, so Sister Deborah. Going off of Sister Deborah's little character arc and storyline, she's trying to find her faith and is kind of wanting to see it in the form of a miracle. So they laid these little foundations and these little, I suppose, these little eggs, and then characters are trying to find it the whole way through, or someone does something you think, that person's should maybe get some comeuppance. Nothing was forgotten about. Every character's little story was taken care of, right? And not in an obvious way, not like, hey, we did this, remember we did that before, now. at least in my opinion. I really appreciated that it was an entire story. There was nothing that you thought, that's jumping out, that was forgotten about, oh, and then now they've just remembered it. That was quickly shoved in. You can already tell it's been 5 years since The Nun came out. They took their time. Obviously, they had a bigger budget, and they used it. So back to Sister Deborah, Storm Reid's character, wanting to find a miracle. They introduced this great theme of angels and demons. Okay, The Conjuring, The Nun, Annabelle. It's mostly all about demons and then just having faith. In this film, okay, spoiler from here. In this film, they really took the idea of saints and angels. The ending was so satisfying and dramatic. It didn't leave me wanting. Valak, even the character of Valak, just... Also, she had her own storyline too, and her own character arc within the film, and had her own purpose. So everybody had a purpose. You're not sitting there thinking there's no reason for this film. And I think that what gave it such makes you emotionally invested. Everyone has a point. And it's very high stakes purpose that you're trying to get through collectively, the audience as well, to the end of the film. So it's a great ride to go on. And where they went with Valak's character came back to saints finding the power of an angel, because of course demons are fallen angels. Me personally, I'm just a little obsessed with angels and demons, and I love supernatural TV series for that reason. And I love where they went with Sister Irene's character and kind of gave her a special power. And in the ending, the visual effects of this massive gush of, this was they were calling it was wine, the blood of Christ. The way they use that, I was almost sitting there thinking, how were hydraulics used? How was this, just sprayed everywhere? My goodness, I would love to just be on set. I would love to be on set and observe it just for free. And just, what do you need plugged in? Sure. What, can we think of a different way to make this happen so it looks like this on screen? Yes. It was very, very satisfying. And we're so emotionally invested with Frenchie because of where he came on from in the first film, which, please, I urge you to go watch the film again. Watching it again, I saw all the little details. I saw everything and how much heart each character had. So, hence when everyone knows Frenchie is being possessed. We know because of the upside down cross on the back of his neck at the end of the first film. And we know he's in this film, so that's where it's going. We're so desiring for him to escape this possession, and we know exorcisms and all that can be very dangerous. So the emotional investment in wanting Frenchie to survive and then have a beautiful life after this, I think it really brought me to tears. And I'm just like, I'm just so moved. I'm so moved. I'm so impressed. And I'm so grateful for James Wan and making this whole universe. You know, there's a lot of them have been involved with The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It, which was the director, I believe, directed by Michael Chavez. The Curse of La Llorona, I thought was pretty good. The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It. I'm sure he was director of that. Yeah. So he's the director of The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It. I really liked that film. I really liked it. Again, you can have a film with heart that's also... I found it scary. I did. It didn't help that I had a whole heap of kids just laughing in the audience. I really liked it. Again, we're emotionally invested with Vera Farmiga and Patrick Wilson, the Warrens, Ed and Lorraine, which was tied in together at the end of this film, of course, as they had tied it in at the end of the first Nun. So I think if you are a lover of the franchise, I hope you enjoy it as much as I did. There were certain moments and certain scenes. They had a wall filled with different magazines, and Sister Irene has come along and of course is probably following a bit of a vision, and these magazine pages are flipping back and forth, and ultimately you're like, I think this is something to do with the Nun. But visually it was just beautiful, and it wasn't a throwaway scene. Every scene was given its time and given effort and emphasis. It was, you know, for someone to think of that and go, ooh, I think this is going to add to it, and this is really visually stimulating to watch these pages flipping, creating tension because you know what's going to happen. But because they take their time, they kind of take away that sudden expectation, and that, so you're like, okay, maybe this isn't going where it's going, where I think it's going, and, you know, and then they get you. But the detail, each page of the magazine was specific to the time. 1956, 1957, I think it was set. So it makes a film feel so rich and full-bodied. You really feel like you're just being immersed and kind of learning something new. You're just having this great experience at the same time as watching a horror movie. You know, you're really being welcomed into and brought into the set and the time that it's in. It's bringing you into the film so you can fully immerse yourself. I mean, just the thought and the care that has gone into this film just blows my mind. Blows my mind. Like, every time I think about sitting there at the end, I mean, the use of fire, this is what I mean, with a bigger budget, they were able to create these images where you just, even myself, desensitized, having seen so many horror films, I was like, whoa, they really did that. They lit that person on fire. That person is on fire. That image of that burning flesh and that man is in my head. And you know, to have someone prostrated, like lifted up and on fire, there's these powerful images were delicately but specifically, purposefully placed in the film, and it just served to make the best viewing experience for the audience. I could never extend my thanks enough for the emotional experience, the amazing viewing experience I had in the cinema. You know, I saw it by myself, I had my phone turned off, obviously, and I just was completely in it. They even brought a devil goat. It was so well done. So many things in this film, you're like, that could have been done so cheesy, so corny, and if one thing was kind of done not well, it would have ruined it. But the way they did it was, the CGI was great. And then of course, in terms of, you know, demons lurk in the shadows, we don't often get too much of a look at them, which I think is always great. Even if you want to be wanting to see more of a ghost or demon, just because they made it look so good and so believable. And they made the sounds, you know, of hooves trotting so great, built up the tension. And so I was wanting to, I'm like, bring the goat back, please bring the goat back. But no, they give you just enough, because of course these things, you know, it's all plays into the idea that, you know, demons and ghosts and stuff, they're, you know, they might be there for some people, or they're just kind of there in the ether, or they're there in the shadows, you know, playing with us and playing tricks on us. So, you know, you don't want to have those great horror images all the time in the film, because that's, in my mind, that's how demons are, and they kind of belong in the shadows. So it was well thought out to not have too much of a good thing seen visually. What else? There was my favorite scary. Oh, there was so many favorite scenes, but one scene as well had the nun quite white-faced painted at the end of a corridor with flower wall print. So it was a hallway. So this girl's kind of being led up by Valak, thinking it's her mom. It's not. Valak's at the end of the hallway. And so this is the hallway. We've got flower wall print. So kind of that no escape thing. And the inevitable, I'm looking at something really scary. I'm looking at something really, really scary. The white face paint, Valak. And the different looks they gave Valak was great, because we've seen a lot of Valak by this point, at this time of the franchise. We've seen a lot of her. So to have a few different looks brought the horror back for me. And just, that's a scary thing for me, just down a hallway, and you're like, I know stairs are behind me, but am I going to be able to reach it? But all I can do is hold contact with this scary thing, because it's so mesmerizing, and I'm terrified. So I loved that scene. I was right there with that girl, the character, being terrified, and like genuinely sitting there like, oh my goodness, I'm probably going to be a bit scared when I get home. I have a hallway and some stairs, so that, the scene with the goat / Satan, amazing. And the ending scenes with Valak, taking on her end goal, which was to find her angel power again that God's taken away because she's a fallen angel, and combined with the ending scene, Sister Irene is lit on fire, and that And then the demise of Valak with the red wine, the blood of Christ, the blood of Christ. Frenchie's survival. That particular scene where Sister Irene is remembering how he is and what an amazing person he is and how he saved her life and how she desperately wants to save his life too, but her ultimate, purpose was to get rid of Valak and banish her to stop, any more killings. Him looking up at Sister Irene was very powerful. And this first scene in the beginning with the priest set on fire, very powerful. Later on, when Sister Irene and Sister... oh gosh, I forgot her name again. No. And Sister Deborah go to investigate that killing and trying to find the source. His imprint, his ashen imprint of where he's been lying on the stairs. Amazing. Powerful. But I mean, you are emotionally invested. And you can see the reaction that the sisters have seeing that and witnessing that. Because, some films it's just like, that's there. Oh, sheesh. Moving on. They had an emotional reaction to it. Therefore, we're going, yes, that's powerful. I also can now, as an audience member, have an emotional reaction. I know, I love the magazine scene. The first jump scare, I think, was when the altar boy goes down to put the red wine, the blood of Christ, back into the, the church's, into a little alcove kind of thing. And he knows there's something in the dark. And then you see it crack, the glass holding the red wine. And then it shatters. That got me. There were quite a few moments got me. But tiny little details, taking their time with every scene, taking their time when Frenchie is, Maurice is covered up with a sack over his face. He's clearly possessed by Valak. He's not himself anymore. There's just, small movements. But we get time to kind of see outlines, face, mouth, and eyes. And even just that image is almost like, the scary scarecrow kind of thing with a Hessian sack. Down to the minutia, the minute, tiny little details. It could have very easily been that it was so rushed through, but it wasn't. It wasn't unsatisfying. Obviously, it's a different level than Megan, and obviously they played it down once they realized it was going to be a huge smash hit. Of course, they took the ratings down. I still haven't seen the uncensored version, but it was everything I hoped for. And I kind of knew it was going to be like that. I knew the amount of time it had taken. I knew the effort, and I knew they had, I think James Wan had said they kind of canceled or were focusing on the Nun 2, rather than spreading themselves too thin. So I'm so glad. I'm so glad they took the time and put the money in. And I really hope they make more and more and more. I would 100% go see this again while it's still in cinema, in the big screen. 100%. Oh, the score. The score was really good too. So who did the... Oh, sorry. I just want to look at who edited it. Okay. So Gregory Plotkin was the editor. Known for his work in Get Out, Happy Death Day. I actually really liked that one. Game Night, Yep, it was a good film. And he contributed to a few films of the Paranormal Activity franchise. Interesting. Because editing is important too. Right? Very important. Nun 2, just seeing... Oh, he worked on Hellfest with Akela Cooper, wrote Hellfest. Okay, interesting. So let me just look up the... Where is the music? Music by Marco Beltrami. American composer, conductor, and pianist. Scream, Mimic, The Faculty, Resident Evil, The Woman in Black, A Quiet Place. Wow, Terminator 3, World War Z, Robot, Snowpiercer, 3:10 to Yuma, Hellboy, The Wolverine, Logan. Logan was a good film. Wow, my goodness. The score was beautiful. Beautiful. Not too much, not too little. Enough to be reminiscent of the first Nun, yet different enough, you know, to have this film stand on its own. Because all these things are so important. Every single thing. Now, who did the music for the first Nun? The Nun... Music by... Okay, interesting. Works... Emily, Till, The Courier, The Nun, Nocturnal Animals, Penny Dreadful, Romeo and Juliet, Escape from Tomorrow. Okay, interesting. So, geez. If I get this more... Oh, I just wanted to relook at Ian Goldberg. Ian Goldberg worked on The Nun 2. He worked on the screenplay along with Akela Cooper and Richard Nang. So Ian Goldberg wrote The Autopsy of Jane Doe. Eli. Both great films. Wow. I mean, there's so much talent on this film. Richard Nang. And this is what I'm talking about. These are the films that we're talking about when we go, we want horror. We want more horror. And there's a way to make these horror films into masterpieces. And, you know, not that the Oscars mean anything anymore or ever did, but these are the films that should be winning awards. Because, I'm sorry, that's the best film of the entire year. Hands down. Oh, Missing was really good too. But you see what I'm saying? Another, I guess you call that thriller mystery more. So, but I'm just looking at Richard Nang, who also contributed to the Nun 2 screenplay. Just to see, let's go IMDb. Oh my goodness, so he also worked on The Autopsy of Jane Doe. Eli as well. Fear the Walking Dead. Interesting. You know, and that's the film business. You work with someone once, you know that they work really well, you're gonna work with them again. We want more of this. I want more of this. Oh my goodness. You know. Oh, so I hope you go and see it. Please go and see it. Please, hey, if you hated it, let me know. Respectfully. Let me know what your favorite moments were. I don't know. I just went through and did spoilers from a certain point onward, so. But, you know, whatever. This is just for discussion because I don't know that many people who also enjoy horror. Hence, I'm talking to the camera and anybody that wants to contribute. It's not really for views or anything. I just want to find a little community and be able to talk this out because this is so nice. Like, it's coming off my chest. I just want to, because films mean so much to us. Well, the people that, you know, are into films and enjoy them. I think for everybody. But this film made me feel something. It made me feel a lot of things. That legit, I was in tears. Like, I had to go to the car and just sit there and kind of cry and yeah. So I really advise you to see it. Keen to hear anybody's thoughts. 10 out of 10, 5 out of 5, whatever. Gave it all the stars. All the stars. All the stars in the world. It was amazing, and I can't wait to watch it again. Seems like this is up there with Annabelle Creation, and I'm so looking forward to the next Conjuring. I hope they keep this going, even if it means more time, more years in between films. Let's do it, because it's gonna make for even better. But you know what? I think this is also a sign to go back and rewatch, because I think we get jaded. We go, that was just that. No, there's a lot of stuff in all of these films that are so good. So well thought out, and down to, you know, more trivial, silly stuff, you know, just like I saw on James Wan's Creepy Puppets Instagram page that he shared something from New Line Cinema from The Conjuring 2, I think, where they had all these hidden, you know, Valak, and little messages like, in all these scenes, just these Easter eggs that you wouldn't see unless you were really looking. And that's why I mean, like, go back and watch them. If they're so well worth another watch. And when I rewatched The Nun, I actually saw Valak written in the truck in one of the first scenes while they're on their way to the church. Valak is in the license plate. I stopped it. I paused and I said to my parents, I was like, oh my god! I found an Easter egg! And this is what happens when you pay close attention and you're really looking. And see, I chose to go watch The Nun 2 last night, like 4:20 in the afternoon. There was, you know, 2 or 3 other people in the cinema. Because I knew if I went when it was released over the weekend, there's going to be a lot of kids or a lot of people, and just people deal with being scared is laughing. There were a few times I laughed yesterday, but just out of like, oh my god, I can't believe I'm seeing this, and this is amazing, just like sheer joy for seeing how well this movie was coming out. And it was like surprise, not uncomfortable, oh I'm laughing, or being annoying. So go pick time, go see it, and go see it in cinema. Go see it in the cinema. It's so good on the big screen. Whew. I think that's all my thoughts out. Thank you, camera. Yes, that feels good. If anyone knows how to get on the sets, just to be on the set, just because you're a fan, like, I'm in Australia. I'm not in California. So, there's that. Anyway, keen to hear anybody else's thoughts that's watched it or going to watch it or loves the franchise or whatnot.